Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. As you can see, my hair is a little bit wet because I got caught in the storm. Relevant joke. Okay, so anyway, if you have played since the start of the game, the global launch itself, like most players, by now you should have a copy of this carrier wave carrier, which is essentially a portable microwave, if you will. Now with this, we have 7 different 6-star Psychubes of your choice, and you can choose from one of them, and your choice needs to matter a lot because, like I said, you can only have one choice. Okay, so let's briefly go through what each of them do, and then I'll share my thoughts and process as to how I'm going to decide on which is the star cube of my choice. So we're going to start with the first one here. So this is Brave New World. After the carrier casts an ultimate, incantation might of the next incantation plus 20%. And you're going to take a look at everything at max level. So ultimate might increases by 18%. And you have 370 attack over here. So this is obviously for an offensive character, but this is mostly for characters who need to drop their ultimate first before they start dealing other kinds of DPS. So for example, this is going to matter a lot for the upcoming banner character Millennia, but as for the current roster that we have, this is probably not going to be very useful for most of the characters that you might have right now. I mean, it's probably not the optimal choice right now, or if you have gone for Centurion, then this is probably not going to be the optimal choice as well. Next, we have Hopscotch, and for each enemy target defeated by the carrier, ultimate might plus 8% for the carrier stacks up to 4 times, with an attack of 370 as well. This is very strong, because as long as you're killing stuff, you're able to rack up ultimate might, which will then translate into a much stronger ultimate. But at the same time, you also have incantation might plus 18%, so it's not just your ultimate that is getting strengthened, your incantations, your generic skills, they are also going to be improved by another 18%, so this is also really good. Now moving on, next we have her second life. This is also a really good one. So after the carrier cast the mass ultimate, so as long as your ultimate hits multiple targets, the HP for all of your allies would be increased by a certain percentage of your attack. Now this further increases your attack, and it also has a pretty decent 350 attack over here, which means your attack is going to be high, which also means that your healing is potentially going to be quite good. However, the main thing that this makes me feel a certain way is that the multiplier here is not that great. It's only 64%. So assuming if you have this at max level 60, and your character has, I don't know, 1000 attack, right? This is only going to heal your allies by 640 HP, which in my opinion, right, given my current state at the game right now, 640 healing after casting an ultimate is not that great. But for the most part, I think this is a decent choice if you lack a healer like I do. So I do not have any healers at all. I'm still rocking the starter team. If that is the case, this is a decent choice. But the thing is, this is entirely skippable if you're able to pull a healer in the future, which most of us are going to do it, right? Now, moving on to the fourth one, this is Blasphemer of Night. When the carrier attacks, if the target has 2 or more negative status, damage dealt plus 24%. This is a huge damage improvement here. 24% is huge. And he also further increases your incantation might by 18%, and he has a decent attack base of 360. But the problem with this is it's very specific to a team centered around negative statuses, which is like negative damage bonus or like negative defenses like reality or mental defenses, for example. So those are a little bit more specific, which means this is not very global. Now moving on to the fifth one, this is really good. Thunderous Applause. When the carrier's one target attack scores a critical hit, critical damage plus 32%, this is massive, dude. And he also further increases the crit rate by 16%. So this is going to help you achieve that glorious 100% crit rate a little bit easier. But at the end of the day, it's only just 16%, so you need to top it off by another 80% elsewhere, which is either via resonances or just your base stats or your base effects, that kind of stuff. So it's going to be quite difficult to achieve a 100% crit rate, but this is going to be really strong. The only downside that I see in this is it's extremely low base attack. So it only has a 330 attack. And if you think 330 is not so far apart as compared to 370, which is something that we have seen a couple of times earlier on, you are kind of mistaken, because this is actually a 10% attack deficit that you have just lost just because you decided to go with Thunderous Applause. Now, I'm not saying that this is bad, because this increases the crit damage by 32%, which is a big deal. It's a final damage multiplier after all. But not only is this one of my issue, my second issue is also for the fact that this only affects single target attacks. So for the most part, most of your ultimates, they are going to be AoE DPS. And if that is the case, you're probably not going to benefit a lot from this. So I may not suggest the Thunderous Applause as well, but this is just my own opinion on the matter here. It really depends on what kind of DPS characters you're maining, and that is going to matter a lot. Now, the sixth choice here, this is the Inquisitive Deer. When the carrier casts a basic incantation debuff, HP plus 48% of the carrier's attack for the ally with the lowest HP percentage only triggers 1 time per round. So I think this is probably a really good fit for Sotheby, because she has a lot of debuffs and she does a lot of healing as well. So this is perfect for her. Like, the whole thing is designed around her, it even has her face here as well. So if you main a Sotheby and you want to use Sotheby for the long haul, then this is probably going to be a good choice. But for the most part, I don't feel like this is really that necessary at all. Because I think a better healing one is probably going to be her second life. I think this is slightly more usable in many different team comps. And finally, we have his Bounden Duty. Okay, so for each target defeated by the carrier, HP plus 120% of the carrier's attack. This is a decent amount of healing. So for example, if you have 1000 attack, you're going to heal yourself by 1200 whenever you kill any targets. But aside from that, what really sells this to me is that this has an insane 410 base attack. It is a whopping 20% higher than some of the other Psychubes out there. Aside from that, it even gives you a damage bonus of an additional 12%, which means this whole thing is gonna hit freaking hard. So this is also further pushing your ability to kill targets, which means you're gonna be able to heal yourself a lot more. And this is so good for most DPSs out there, because if you do not have a healer, or if you find trouble keeping your DPS alive, this is going to be amazing for you. Of course, there are some setbacks, because this is probably not going to be that useful against boss fights. So for example, there are those resource material grinds where this may not be that important, but what I still like about this is it still carries a lot of attack power, and it still carries a damage bonus of 12% over here at max level, which is fantastic. So in my opinion, amongst all of these choices here are my top 3 picks. This is probably my third pick. Brave New World. After carrier casts an ultimate, Incantation Might of the next Incantation plus 40%. It is also very usable at the start at its base form. You don't have to level it up to 60 just yet, because this is still going to improve your next Incantation by 20%, which is okay. And your ultimate might is still going to go up by 12%, which is still pretty decent in my opinion. My only issue with this is it's very similar to whatever that we have free to play. And this is what I'm talking about, the Footloose. So ultimate might plus 11%, and if the carrier attacks, if the target's HP is above 50%, damage dealt plus 8%. So it's kind of similar in my opinion. My second favorite pick would be Hopscotch, and the reason for that is this is quite globally usable. So it has decent attack power, it has decent Incantation Might as well of 18%, and at the same time your ultimate has the potential to hit a lot stronger at plus 32%. So if there are multiple waves, you can bet that your ultimate is going to hit super freaking hard. So this is actually pretty good in my opinion. But my top number 1 choice in my opinion is going to be his Bounden Duty. Everything about this is really good. It has high attack power, it has good damage bonus percentage, it also has an excellent amplification over here that allows your DPS to heal themselves whenever they need to be healed, right? So this is extremely good for characters like Eternity. It's also really good for characters who do not have innate heals like Lilia and Centurion in my opinion. Now with that said, I hope this video helped you in any way possible. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, it really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Reverse 999 content. Now with that said, this has been Very Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.